You know, coming up with ideas for videos is not exactly something I'm great at. Like, you'd think after spending years in this game and only mildly destroying my sanity, I sat there staring at my garage like it was supposed to give me divine inspiration. Spoiler, it didn't. Then I thought, what do I actually enjoy playing in this game? What tank doesn't make me want to uninstall after 3 matches in a row? And yeah, the answer is specifically the T100 LT. That scrappy little Russian thing that zips around the map like it just mainlined 3 cans of energy drink. And I get it. Some of you probably think light tanks are just annoying bugs with 0 damage and maximum annoyance. The kind of tanks that steal your spots, YOLO into RT and then blame matchmaking. But for me, the T100 LT is something else. It's nostalgic. It was actually the first light tank I ever unlocked. My first ever light tank. And yeah, it's Russian, because obviously it is. Of course it is. It wouldn't be World of Tanks if Russia wasn't somehow involved in the chaos. So today I figured let's talk about this little legend, why it's one of my favorites, how it somehow still holds up in the current meta, and why it feels like you're playing with cheat codes without actually breaking anything. Alright, so for those of you who've never crossed paths with a T100 and somehow managed to dodge being spotted, tracked, or completely bamboozled by one, this is the Soviet Tier 10 light tank. Now let's talk numbers before someone in the comments starts quoting armor values like they're reading poetry. The T100 LT comes with a 100 mil caliber gun. Sounds modest, right? Not some massive death cannon, just a clean, dependable boomstick. It dishes out 2308 damage per minute, which is not terrifying at first glance, but it's consistent. This isn't the tank you pick to nuke things. This is the one that annoys them to death with surgical precision, while being literally impossible to catch unless you've got divine intervention or 3 wheels. It's got 1500 hit points, which in tier 10 sounds like a joke, until you remember it doesn't get hit like other tanks. You don't play the T100 LT to brawl. The engine gives you 720 horsepower, and if you slap the right equipment and crew skills on this thing, like it's escaping a war crime tribunal. And let's be honest, half the time when you're driving it, it kind of feels like you should be. Its spotting range is 390 meters, which, yeah, I hear you. There are other tanks with better raw view range. But remember, the T100 LT is about the whole package. You're not just spotting, you're being a menace. You're lighting up half the enemy team while chilling in some random bush, pretending you don't even exist. And it's got one of the lowest profiles in the entire game. This thing's so low to the ground, it could probably duck under artillery shells if the physics allowed it. Also, can we talk about its camo values? Because this tank is basically the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter, if that cloak also carried a gun and had daddy issues from growing up in post-Soviet Russia. You sit still for half a second and the enemy team just forgets you ever existed. You move, they still probably don't see you unless you drive straight into their lap with headlights on and loud music blaring. Armor-wise, yeah, there's not much. On paper, it's not supposed to bounce anything. But World of Tanks being what it is, sometimes RNG just says, nah, and suddenly you're ricocheting APCR rounds off the weird little curves on the turret. That turret, by the way, is weirdly bouncy for a light tank. Don't rely on it, but don't be surprised when it works either. Gun handling is tight, not laser precise, but solid. It feels stable. Not like some of those light tanks that act like their turrets attached with rubber bands. You peek, you snap, and you get out. It's not a sniper, but it's got that I hit you and then disappeared vibe. The reload's nothing crazy, but it's fast enough to be annoying and just slow enough to make you think twice before getting greedy. You trade consistency for speed, and in this case it works. You're not meant to win straight-up duels. You're supposed to dance around the edge of a fight, like an annoying mosquito that's also got a gun. And yeah, field mods make this thing even better. You can tune it for more spotting, more mobility, better gun handling, or more survivability, depending on your masochism level and how much you like getting counterlit. Want to be pure scout mode? Easy. Want to be more of an active light with brawling flexibility? You can make that work too somehow. Also, the ammo selection is decent. The standard APCI fast and flat enough to feel good even at range, and the premium rounds are just spicy enough to let you annoy even armored targets from behind cover. You're not out DPMing mediums or penning Mauses frontally, but that's not your job. Your job is to make people panic, misplay and raise teep in chat, after you disappear for the 4th time. At the end of the day, the T100 LT is what happens when you mix spy-level stealth with ridiculous speed and just enough firepower to ruin someone's positioning. It's not broken, but it's very, very good at what it does. And if you're the type of player who likes to think 5 steps ahead and talk 5 players at once, you're gonna feel right at home in this thing. So now that we've lovingly gushed over this Soviet stealth gremlin, let's talk about the big question. Why should you make the T100 LT your first or even your only tier 10 light tank? Especially if you're newish to lights or somewhere in that intermediate zone where you kind of know what you're doing but still occasionally drive full speed into an E3's frontal plate thinking you'll bounce. Well, let's look at the competition. The American Sheridan? Yeah, I mean, if you want a tank that looks like it was designed during a fever dream and handles like a drunk medium tank, go for it. It's got big alpha and a dart option, but half the time you're just rolling the dice and praying the shell goes anywhere near where you aimed. You're not scouting with it, you're role-playing as a budget artillery piece with anxiety. Then there's the German Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, which sounds terrifying until you realize it's basically a tall, wide target with a big gun that nobody respects. Sure, it's fast and the gun hits decently, but it's got the profile of a tourist bus. Trying to hide this thing in a bush is like trying to hide your grandma's Volvo in a shoebox. You get spotted if you think about moving. How about the French AMX 13105? It's a sniper with ADHD. Autoload is fun, yeah, but you miss one shot and suddenly you're on a 30-second timeout wondering what you did wrong. It's the kind of tank that punishes every single mistake and demands you operate at full sweat mode just to stay relevant. Good tank, but not beginner friendly. You mess up once and it's game over. And let's not forget the Chinese WZ-132-1, the tank that always makes you go, wait, which one is this again? Because it's so forgettable. It's not bad, it's just there. Kind of like unflavored yogurt. It does stuff, technically, just not very memorable. Now compare all that to the T100 LT. It's small, it's insanely stealthy, it's fast forgiving and easy to learn. You don't need to be a spotting god or a bush wizard to make it work. You play smart, you relocate often, and you farm angry messages from people who swear you were cheating. Even when you make mistakes, it often lets you slip away with half your HP and most of your dignity intact. That's rare in light tanks. Plus, there's no weird gimmick you have to master. No autoloaders, no derp shells, no fragile wheels that explode when you sneeze. It's just reliable. You point it where you want to go, and it goes. You want a light tank that teaches you how to scout, survive, and annoy people efficiently? This is the one. It's the kind of tank that builds good habits and rewards mat knowledge. It makes learning fun and still lets you make a real impact in games. It's perfect for beginners, solid for intermediates, and even high-tier players keep it in their garage because it just works. So yeah, out of all the lights, the T100 LT is the one I'd recommend starting with. It doesn't demand perfection, it just asks that you be mildly clever and kind of annoying. And honestly, that's what being a good light tank player is all about. So if you're looking for a light tank that doesn't need a manual, doesn't demand you sell your soul for damage, and still lets you feel like a stealthy menace, then yeah, the T100 is your guy. It's the kind of tank that just gets the job done while everyone else is over there trying to be special. Anyway, that's it for today's light tank therapy session. Drive fast, spot smart, and don't get clicked by RT. Catch you in the next one.